copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good afternoon. I call this exchange meeting to order. Please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the exchange meeting for September. I'm Kat Fimmel, President of the 2024 RCSC Board of Directors. This meeting is audio and video recorded by the RCSC and made available to our members. Please silence your electronic devices. I will try to remember to have you turn them back on at the end of the meeting. I'd like to start by introducing your Board of Directors. Vice President Karen McAdam.
Good afternoon.
Secretary Connie Jo Rickmeyer.
Good afternoon.
Treasurer Anita Borski.
Welcome back, everyone.
Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director Chris Nettesheim.
Hello, everybody.
Director Tom Foster.
Good afternoon.
Director Preston Keiss. Director James Ruff.
Good afternoon.
And our timekeeper this afternoon will be Director Nettesheim. Introducing the management staff. Matthew DeLazansky, General Manager.
Howdy, folks.
Kevin McCurdy, Support and Finance Senior Leader.
Good afternoon.
Mike Whiprood, the facilities Senior Leader.
Hello.
Mike Deermeyer, the non-golf Senior Leader.
Good afternoon.
Brian Duthu, the golf Senior Leader.
Good afternoon.
Debbie Giles, Assistant to the General Manager. And Marcia Johnson, our Board Coordinator.
Good afternoon.
Okay. We also recognize our audiovisual engineers, Alan Kleinhans, Carly Young, Miguel Jackson, and Doreen Rafferty. As always, we thank the Sundial staff for preparing this room for us. First up is the topics list. If you do not already have a copy of the topics list, they should be available to you at the back of the room. The first item is the Maricopa County Library lease. And what I can tell you is that we finally received the approvals or the okay from the county, from the county attorney's office. And last week we prepared the final lease documents. I signed them on Friday. They've been sent to Maricopa County, and Maricopa County will now need to sign them in order to complete the lease action. And that's where we currently stand. We're waiting for Maricopa County to sign the lease document. It has to go back through some of the folks that went through the first time, and then ultimately will probably be signed by the county attorney. Excuse me, ma'am? Ma'am, folks, ladies and gentlemen, please do not, this is not a board meeting, but please do not chime in from the floor. We've got a designated agenda. Let us get through the agenda. Part of that agenda is allowing all of you to get up and make your comments. Thank you. Next is the 5-year plan. The understanding at the moment, I believe, is that the 5-year plan will be discussed during the upcoming budget process. Is that correct, Director Foster?
It is.
Okay. Perhaps a man of few words, but to help all the membership out, he did during the last month's, actually this month's, Sun City update provide a board commentary speaking a bit to the upcoming budget process, and so that the membership could be better informed on that topic. Next up is, will there be an assessment increase 10% each year? And part of this question may come from the fact that in the last budget go-around for 2024, there were some comments about deferred maintenance and the need for continued assessments. Can I ask General Manager if you or Mr. McCurdy could possibly speak to that?
Sure. There is no set amount of the assessment increase from year to year. What we do is we take a look at the needs to run this entire organization and do all the things that we're trying to get done, and then that is what gets turned into, if there is going to be an increase, how much of an increase, and it goes into that 5-year team that then turns it over to the budget and finance and the long-range planning and the COC, and that will be determined here in the next month, and as you said, will be discussed further at the open houses. So there is no set amount, there's no predetermined amount, there's just what do we think the budget needs next year, and we'll also be doing the 5-year look as well.
And as we go through this budget process, this year, like last year, the budget process will be open to the membership. You can participate in meetings with regard to the budget, and I believe there are 2 town halls already scheduled.
Yes, if anybody wants to put this on their calendar right now, on October 21st and October 23rd, there will be town halls where the budget will be made public, a budget draft. The board will be voting its first vote on the budget at the October 31st board meeting with a second reading in November. So there's lots of opportunity for member input, feedback, questions in that whole process.
Thank you. Next up is the renovation of the front entrance of Fairway. We seem to have some confusion, and I'll ask the general manager to speak to this as well, as to what we're really doing at the front entranceway of Fairway. We had temporarily moved some folks over there because that will be the new spot for our center associates. Some of you have noticed they were moved back to where they were because the construction project was about to begin. There have been comments lately about the importance, comments from members about the importance of having someone at the front entryway there to ensure that people don't just walk in to the facility. Mr. General Manager, could you comment to that?
Certainly. So that project, as you know, we've been working on, and we did have the temporary setup there. We are getting the actual desk built. We've kind of gone through a couple iterations where we were going to move the existing desk, and it didn't make sense to do that. So the new desk is being built as we speak. We have already done some lighting improvements. We need to do a little bit more on the lighting. So we moved the temporary desk out of there so we could get the man lift in there, so we could do the work on the lighting. We can do the work on some of the IT things, and that is moving along. We may begin construction on the actual new desk this week. If not, Mike, we talked about this earlier, Mike Whiprud, probably next week at the latest. So we're on track. This is going to take several weeks to do this. Like I say, we decided not to demo the old one, but to use that space for something else. And thank you for those that have turned in some ideas. We were soliciting ideas on how to best use that space where the old welcome desk was. So stay tuned. You'll be seeing a permanent solution there within the next few weeks.
Thank you. Next is the status of work order for the pickleball courts to be resurfaced at Mountain View. The comment on that last go-around was that would become part, we're not sure what's going to happen to the pickleball courts because we have a project right now at Mountain View. In fact, you may see some people walking around, taking some notes, maybe making some measurements. These would be our architect engineers. We've hired an architect engineer firm to design the new Mountain View. Mr. General Manager, do you have a couple of comments you want to make to that?
Sure. So yes, we have Triarch in place, and they have been working on the first step of things. You know, when you think about what we're trying to do with Mountain View and the new Performing Arts Center, a real critical first step is where are we going to put the Performing Arts Center? And we've talked a lot about where it should go and this and that. So since we have some experts in community planning as well as architectural design, they have done a complete review of all of our properties and gone through and said, okay, some of them obviously don't make sense. You know, some of them don't have enough space, they wouldn't be properly located. So they did choose three and a half, if you count the Sun Bowl. But Sun Bowl, the areas they looked at there were in the water retention areas. So now they've reduced the list down from all our properties to 3 of our properties. And they're doing what we would call a deep dive into looking at all the determining factors on where the Performing Arts Center should be, because once that decision is made, then other things can fall into place. So we expect that decision, their recommendation, not decision, their recommendation by next Friday, the 20th. And then that'll be turned over to the board, and that'll be discussed, and I'm sure there'll be public venues as well, and we'll figure out where that's going to be. Then we will move into the next steps of doing a more complete, detailed program for both the Performing Arts Center and Mountain View in total. But as you could say, if you're not sure whether the Performing Arts Center is going to be at Mountain View or not, that's a pretty big deal. So we got to get that decision made first, and then we'll roll into the next ones. And as I said the last time we met in June, this is the beginning of a long process, multi-year process. So we're probably looking at 2 to 3 years before this is complete.
Okay, so I know rumors have been abounding, but we are not at the point where anyone has made any decisions. The board has not conducted any analysis of any information, and certainly when we know something, we will share that with the membership. Next item is mail out the Sun City update monthly, and that was going to be under review. How is that coming, Mr. General Manager?
Well, the one update that we put out to everybody, as some of you may recall, was the New Year's one in January. And that was so well received that the primary focus on perhaps mailing it will be with another January update, which will have a year in review, and it'll have all the things in the clubs, all the stuff that we created this past January. We're looking seriously at maybe doing a bulk mailing on that. In terms of the other updates, we have the same information on the web. So if someone feels strongly that the same thing that's available on the web and they update, and also available all over Sun City in paper form, needs to be mailed, we haven't gotten that feedback. It's not something that we understand that people are clamoring for. So what we plan to do is look seriously at the New Year's edition, being a more robust edition than the others, and possibly mailing that out to every single address for everyone that's a member.
Thank you. Okay, next up are director announcements. Do we have any director announcements? Director Ruff.
On the last page of the topic spreadsheet, it lists the Thunderbird property. And we made our best and final offer, and it was not accepted. And so we're not going forward with any more discussions about it unless they reach back to us.
Director Collins.
Thank you. We have completed the update of the template for the clubs, and we'll be putting that out there. And BP 12 is also been completed. We got, as soon as the board looks at it and gets a vote, we can put the changes out there for both. But the template is just going to put all the clubs on the same page. And it'll make things easier. No matter what club you're in, the guidelines will be the same. Inside the template, you make your stuff as a club, you make it more strict or whatever you want to do inside your rules. So the clubs will still be in charge of all their rules, but there's a bunch of items that they'll go down through and put in their rules. And you'll have, they'll be given a year for that, and if they need any help, they can contact the COC, and we will send someone down to help them and explain it to them and show them how it works. But it should make everything a little smoother. For the last couple of years, it has just been a nightmare for us. I don't know what COVID did, but it made everybody mean and ornery, and they're just fighting, and we have to find some way to calm down. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Borski.
This morning, President Fimmel is also the president of the Sun City Foundation, and I'm the vice president of the foundation. This morning, we accepted a donation from the Sundial Men's Club, who I want to thank greatly. It's a $5,000 donation. So our funds will go up, and we'll be able to help more people.
Thursday night bingo.
Thursday night bingo?
Yes, that money comes from Thursday night bingo. So thank you to Director Collins.
Everybody
the
play
men's,
bingo.
The men's club and all of the folks that played bingo. Vice President McAdam.
So on behalf of the Elections Committee, I'd just like to remind you that this is the end stretch of the season for people who are interested in serving as a member of the Board of Directors for RCSC. We have our second and final candidate information session coming up on Tuesday, September 24th at 3 p.m. This is not a mandatory meeting, but for anybody that may be interested in serving and wants to have a chance to interact with current board members about what the scope of that work involves, you're welcome to come at the Lakeview Social Hall 2, I think it is. Yeah, so it's just an opportunity to either come yourself or to send somebody our way that you think would be a really good candidate for the board. And a reminder that packets for people who would like to run for the board are available at the corporate offices. They need to be completed and turned in by Friday, October 18th at noon.
Thank you. I also have an announcement with regard to the special session that's being held on September 16th at 9 a.m. here at Sundial. This is a special session relating to revisions that the board has prepared or is in the process of preparing to the bylaws and the policies of the corporation. So your attendance is invited. At the end of this meeting today, there'll be some literature at the back of the auditorium about those revised board policies and bylaws. So feel free to pick one up on the way out. If there aren't enough left when you get there, I'm pleased to say that this afternoon, that same information will be available to all members electronically.
Madam President.
Director Collins.
Yes, and just an announcement to everyone. In October, the softball is going to have a grand opening. There's going to be a big party down there and everything, so make sure you can try and get down there. We'll put it out there and with the exact date. I can't remember what it was, I thought, but the 19th of October. So you got to come down and see it. It is beautiful. So
Is that
10:30 in the morning.
10:30 in the morning. Thank you. Last round. Anybody else with any other directors with announcements? Okay, before we open the floor to the members, please be reminded that this board does not discuss personal or personnel matters in public forums. Please also be mindful of the 3-minute clock. Once everyone has had an opportunity to speak once, you may come back a second time. And with that, I will open the floor. Please give your, we want names and numbers, yes? Yes, okay.
Hi, I'm Janice Diaz, and do you need my rec number? 143074. Okay. When I first moved to Sun City, I loved it here. We could go to our rec centers, we could swim, play miniature golf, darts, library, almost anything you wanted to do was at our fingertips. It was such a nice life. RCSC is the heart of Sun City. It has been a feeling of freedom to live here until lately, and I feel that is rapidly being taken from us by getting rid of our punch cards and trying to make us a cashless RCSC. I could invite my grandkids over for the day, take a punch card, and get them to play most of the fun things they like to do with great ease. Now I have to go online, get them a ticket, and sometimes one of them doesn't show up because they have a extra sports practice or something to do. So then I lose that money, and then if they bring another one along, then what do I have to do? Go back home and get on my computer and get them a ticket? I don't understand the process of that, and I don't like it. I like to be able to go and buy a punch card and use it. And I don't understand why that's a problem, because I don't think 30,000 of us were asked if we wanted to make this change or not. And in the newspaper of April 17th, the names of the members and guests are not being reported, so that's why they want to set this up. But what are these people doing? I mean, are they like writing on the bathroom walls or something? Set the computers so that they can be checked in if they're not already listed at a computer at home. And then in the same article, it was stated that handling cash can cause safety issues for the RCSC employees who handle and transfer the cash within the facility. So my question is, how much cash is taken in on an average day of 2023 per rec center? $200,000? 20,000? 2,000? 200? 20?
I'm not sure that is, for safety reasons, I'm not sure that's a question we would want to answer, Mr. General Manager. I don't think so.
You are correct. I don't think I answer that.
That's a super bad safety issue for our employees and our corporation as a whole.
Well, I don't care what the answer is. If it's that much money, maybe you should get a Brinks truck to come pick it up. But no,
Actually, doesn't the Brinks truck come and pick it up?
Yes, it does.
It does.
at all the rec centers?
Ma'am, you're getting into how we operate the organization. I'm a little concerned for our safety to share this kind of information generally.
Are you serious?
If you don't care about the safety of our employees, I'm sorry. This board cares about the safety of its employees.
As does the manager.
What's the safety concern?
Time.
Next.
Your time is up. The next person is able to speak.
Do we go? Yeah.
I'm Sue Wilson, 130806.
One second, please.
If you could just wait, I'd like to just respond to the previous speaker here. I know it's sometimes hard to imagine what kind of conditions other people face, but one of the things that the Finance and Budget Committee does is to meet annually with our auditors. So our auditors give us a really good idea about whether our accounting procedures are all well handled and we're in a good financial position. But when we sit down with the auditors, The first question that we ask them is, what do you consider to be the greatest risk factors for RCSC from a financial perspective? And the immediate response was the amount of cash that's sloshing around in this organization. So it's every rec center, it's every snack shop, it's every golf course. And so we're responding to something that professionals who deal with finances all the time have told us is the #1 risk factor that they see for finances. So I understand that you might not agree with them about that, but I think it's important for you to know that that's what's behind some of the decision-making that's taking place.
I'm sorry. Ms. Wilson, go ahead.
Okay. I'm wanting to talk today a little bit about the golf carts for the Fall Festival. We had a golf cart shuttle for several years that has allowed the people that are attending the festival and who are working the festival to park over at the church lot and have the golf carts bring them over to the Sundial Auditorium. However, I was made aware in an exec meeting of my club earlier this summer that you will not have the golf cart shuttles anymore. That's a real problem because this is a senior community. You have a lot of people on walkers or with canes or who just cannot walk real well. And you are asking them to walk across this street to get over here to the auditorium. Now, I know that the committee for the Fall Festival is looking at this and working on it, but they haven't made that decision yet on whether they're going to have golf cart shuttles. And I'm sorry, that is a need. We have tons of people that come to this Fall Festival, not just the workers, but it is so crowded in here just from the people that come to attend. And a lot of people do their Christmas shopping at our Fall Festival. And to cut out the golf carts, shuttles, is dangerous, and it doesn't make sense. I know there was one accident last year. You've had one accident in how many years? And you're going to throw out the golf cart shuttles. That makes absolutely no sense.
Mr. GM, do you want to address that, or would you like me to comment? You want to address that?
Comment if you want first.
Well, the comment I would make is this, we just had the Corporate Insurance Committee meeting last Friday. It's one accident, but it's one accident that increases the insurance policy, that increases the cost to the corporation, ultimately increases the cost to you. I am aware that the Fall Festival, as you stated, is considering themselves bringing in carts, which would be more preferable to the corporation because they will have their own insurance policy, and we've had discussions with them about that. You can get a one-time insurance policy for an event.
The festival committee has always brought in the golf carts.
And we've always been liable for them. Now the liability needs to transfer to them.
Well, the liability of people crossing the street is going to be worse.
Understood. Excuse me, please don't speak from the floor. If you want to ask a question, please come into line like everyone else. Mr. GM?
You're absolutely right, President Fimmel, that this is something we discuss in our insurance meetings. And I know I hear this a lot. We've always done it that way, and we've been doing it this way forever. And, I wish the world was the same as it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But the reality is that safety and litigation are not the same. And the board and myself have an obligation to mitigate risks that we know about. So yes, there was someone that fell and got hurt. We have been working with the Arts and Crafts Fall Festival folks on multiple ways, including having a larger drop-off zone right here where people can come in and get dropped off, and then someone can park their car and come back. So I understand that it would be nice if things were the same as they were 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. They just are not. And we are doing everything we can and more to mitigate the risk on one hand and provide adequate member service on the other. So I know that that's probably not what you want to hear, that we aren't going to necessarily do things the same as we always have, but there are always good reasons. There's logic and reason behind everything we do. And I don't know, Mike, if you'd want to talk a little bit about some of the changes we're making to try to mitigate that with the exact drop-off zone and how we're working with the Fall Festival?
So we are working on trying to get a plan together to allow the carts, actually. We're going to do the drop-off zone no matter what. The posse has offered to help us with that. So we'll have a way to drop people off at as close to the front door as possible. But we're looking at, I'm working with Kevin on some workarounds on possibly getting the carts back into the festival. Yeah. We're trying to cover everything.
It has to do with that certificate of insurance that President Fimmel mentioned. They can't just be sort of a boilerplate. They have to be specific for the activity, and they have to include all the areas that they're going to travel on. And just understand that this is a cascading liability situation. So if you have an individual cart and you're a volunteer driving your cart and someone gets hurt, it's going to come back on you, but it's also going to come back on us. So we're working with our insurance folks, and we're working on with the committee to try and come up with a solution that'll be fine for everybody.
Madam President.
Director Collins.
Yes, so they're still working on that. It is not a no. And then another issue that you brought up was crossing the street. And I did chat with the posse on that, and they can't stop cars in the street, but they can stop our pedestrians and make sure it's safe when they can cross. So they're willing to do that, you know, to make sure that they stop the people, to make sure that when it's safe, they let them go across. So we're still working on stuff, so hang in there. It's not a no yet. Hang in there and see, hopefully we'll get it fixed.
Okay. Thank you. Ma'am?
My name is Deborah Hevesy.
Ma'am, can I have you lift the microphone just a tad so we can hear you a little bit better? Could you put it closer to your, little more? Thank you.
Okay. My name is Deborah Hevesy, 163611. I'm finishing reading the prepared material from Jan Diaz. Our concern is that an article was written in the paper that the RCSC is thinking of going cashless, and this is frightening to us. This means that we have to use our credit cards and be charged on our credit cards for things that we want to buy. Taking away the option to use cash does not seem to be American. Communist China is having great difficulty going in a non-cashless system. I don't think that's the direction we want to go in. I say give us back our punch cards. Let us have the option to use cash, credit cards, or checks. Don't forget who you are working for. Ask us. We're not working for you. I ask the people of Sun City to stand up for your rights, go to your meetings, stand up for your beliefs. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just quickly comment that long before we would go cashless, we'd have a plan for going cashless. We'd have conversations about going cashless, and we talk to the members about how that could happen. So that is not something that is going to happen in the immediate future, because we are not engaged in such conversations at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Barb Kelly,
number 156517, and I'm just here representing the Best Friends Dog Club to say a huge thank you once again to our operations and our board of directors for the use of Mountain View this summer. We had a fabulous time. First summer we've been able to be indoors with our dogs, and it was nonstop, from training to seminars and workshops to game nights, and just being able to get together. The feedback from our members, everybody said it was awesome, and it was just like a sneak preview of what it would be like to have our own building all the time, to be inside and work with our dogs. So thank you so much for making that happen for us.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Director Collins.
I just was wondering, how much did your membership increase due to an inside facility?
We took in nearly 70 new members this summer. And actually, Michaela's going to do all the statistics for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
70 new members in the heat of summer. Can you imagine what would happen when more people are here? Yes, sir.
My name is Holbrook. My number is 122-671. I've got a problem. You caused it, and I'd like to have you fix it. I bought a golf pass to January 4th of this year. January 12th, my son passed away up in Oregon, so I had to go up and do all the stuff that's required. Because I was the only sole heir, because my wife passed away 2 years ago, I was responsible to pay all the bills and do all the stuff that you have to do when somebody passes away. We got the house sold, or cleaned up and sold March the 13th. I took care of that. Came back down here. March the 25th, I fell and broke my hip. The 26th, I had a new hip. I was in the hospital for 4 days. I was in a rehab hospital for 14 days, and then home doing 2 days a week rehab at another place. And I thought, well, wait a minute, I haven't played the whole year. I should get a rebate or a refund on the money that I paid. So I went to the card holder's office, and the lady said, yes, you qualify for a refund. We're going to give you half of what you paid back. I said, well, that's good, because I think I'll be well enough that I can pay the rest of the second half of the year. Well, no. We give you half, and we take away all of your rights for the second half. I said, what do you mean? Well, if we give you half, then you're not allowed to play anymore for the rest of the year. I said, is that fair? And of course she said, no, it isn't, and she agreed with me. So there's actually 3 things I want you to do. I want you to refund the entire year that I will use next year to buy another card, or I want you to reinstate my rights for the second half of the year. And the third thing is I want you to change the damn law. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Michaela Anderson, 170155. I'm just adding to Barb. I just wanted you guys to know that we had the most attendance ever. We had over 1,600 people over the 3 months we were allowed in Mountain View with the dogs. I believe it was over 75 dogs we actually had, in and out of the buildings. And, it's just huge improvement from our normal monthly attendance reports. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kim Wanick, 146304. First of all, thank you, members of the board, for doing what you do. I know it's not always easy. I'm here on behalf of the Water Volleyball Club today. As most of you know, our home pool is Oakmont, which is under refurbishing right now. Looks great. 2 weeks in, it's all torn up. That's awesome. I'm representing 143 of our members today to say thank you very much for the great work and diligence that we've had to collaborate with not only the operational team, but any board members that were involved in allowing us the opportunity to play temporarily at Marinette for 5 weeks. We also recognize that that might be some change for our fellow RCSC members, that maybe they have had to relocate to another pool, much like we did. We want to say thank you to you as well for that. It's a short-term process. We want to thank Barry, Angela, Doris, and Mike Diermeyer for leading this. They actually reached out to us to help this, and this is fantastic because we have a tournament occurring on October 20th at Oakmont when we're back home. We appreciate the help the board gave us with what we call Equipment Gate over the summer. We're close to resolving one last item, so I'm happy on that. And last time I stood before you, we were down at Mountain View when we were talking about the sports pool, and at that time it was shared it was an option or an optional element with the Mountain View process. My question on behalf of our members, is that still the case today?
Well, since we don't have the Mountain View design right now, almost anything is possible. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Darla Akins, 54010. I'm here to talk about the guest passes. I know you say that, now we can just purchase it at home for the comfort of our home, but I gotta tell you that I think that this board and this new general manager is in the process, would like to spend money, not make money. For example, we have a lot of people that come enjoy our activities and dances, and they're aware they are going to be paying extra. For example, we have 120, 150 people in attendance on a weekly or monthly basis, and they know that when they pay their fee, that $2.50 has to go to RCSC. So let's say we have 70 guests attending 24 times a year, and let's say every time they come, they pay twice as much as a regular member. Well, out of that $6, we pay $2.50 to RCSC. So we have 70 members at $2.50, 24 times a year. That's about $4,200. So now you want to cut them down to only 14 times, which means they'll probably only come 12 times. So now you're only going to get $30 out of them because they can't come more than 14 times, and they like to come. We have somebody that comes to our clubs. They live right outside of Sun City. They can't move here for whatever reason. And then, so you don't really care about that. Obviously, because you're willing to lose $4,000 a year. I had my cousin come this summer for 2 weeks, and I had to go online and get a 7-day pass. Well, when she's coming from New York, we can't schedule to come to use a facility every day, and I don't know what day she's going to want to come. She's here to see Arizona. So we're moving around to go see Arizona. It's like one day, it's like, okay, we should go to the rec center. Oh, wait, I got to get it online. So we had to stop what we're doing and get up and go online. Hopefully I could get online, print out the pass. So it took about 15, 20 minutes instead of just jumping up with the punch card and say, okay, let's go, and we're there, and we're back in time to go do other things. Because the punch card was a lot easier. I don't say it was any kind of a problem for anybody except for you guys. And if it was your problem, you should have figured out how to deal with that problem instead of dumping it off on us. And just in case you guys haven't noticed, these people act like they're listening to you. However, I'm not sure they're really listening. Oh, yeah, they are listening. What they're doing is they're listening to see what you're thinking so they know how to go back and change the policy and bylaws to get what they want in the long run. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, this particular board that you have this year is particularly conservative when it comes to financing. We work very hard to find every last dollar and not overspend on anything that isn't absolutely necessary today or into the future. And everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I cannot begin to tell you how hard the people up on this dais today are working for you.
Madam President.
So I would also like to sort of segue into the special session that has been called for, I think it's Monday, September 16th, right? Where we have a revision of the bylaws that's planned. And I think that there are some changes to the bylaws that will be presented there, eliminating the 14-day restriction on guest passes. So it's not an announcement yet. It's just saying that this is something that, so this is a policy, a bylaw that has been in effect for many, many years, predating any of us who are up here. And we have looked at this and asked ourselves, so what's the reason for having that? Is it really serving us? Is it not? So please come on September 16th. The final draft is not yet finished, but I think I was the last board member to meet with our point person on that, Director Ruff, today, to look at some things that we think will be improvements to our system, where we're just questioning why have things been the way they have been, and is there a way for us to make things better? So please plan to be there, and you'll have a chance to ask more questions about that.
Director Collins. Director Collins.
Yes. We fight for you guys. I don't want the punch cards to go away, and I will fight.
Thank you.
So don't just, don't say that we do things for ourselves or to make it better, because that's not true.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ron Mysel, 138-403. I've been here before, but talking about water fountains on the golf course. It's been at least 3 months that some of them have not been working. And if they are working, they just barely dribble out. And when temperatures are over 100 degrees, you have to have water on the course or have a beverage wagon going around. Who's in charge of the water fountains? And another question is, how often do you change the filters, if ever? I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to leave with you so I can get answers back over the next few days. A couple of weeks ago, I emailed Steve Collins about the greens over at Lakes West, and they were awful. Who's in charge? Okay, I played North on Saturday. The back 9, there was only one green that was acceptable. Every single green was unacceptable, and some were even worse than that. That's Saturday. 8 greens are basically trashed, okay? The South Golf Course was the best golf course we had. It got shut down for 3 weeks. I'd like to know who was responsible and who was asleep at the wheel. How does a golf course shut down for 3 weeks because something didn't happen? Who's in charge? You said that when you increase the golf fees by 16%, this stuff wouldn't happen. Brian told me himself. Last August 11, Steve Collins and I went over to Willow Creek, and it was a mess. Weeds all over the place, on the tee box, on the greens. Nothing gets done. Why can't we have an area where we have sod, that when we have little problems on the greens, that we could take the sods and go ahead and punch them into the greens that are doing poor? Does anybody drive around the course and say, hey guys, what can we do to make this better? I've never seen anybody. Last thing, I know it's ridiculous. We have really wide rakes in some of the sand traps, and we have real narrow rakes in the sand traps. It would be nice if they were all wide, because at 100 degrees, the old men and the old women would have to rake less with a wider rake. Correct? So I'm going to leave this with, and I would like some answers.
Thank you, sir. We'll see what we can do about getting those answers. Yes.
Over at South, from what I understand, you fired a kid. Why wasn't the person in charge fired?
Well, I'll once again remind, as I did before we started, that we don't discuss personal or personnel matters in public forums. But we will take the list and we will ask for there to be some answers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Mary Dolman Chopper. My number is 128-442. I'd like to know if within the rec centers, do we use any reclaimed water?
Mr. General Manager?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And then because of all the golf courses and such, why not?
Madam President?
Let's just take the questions, and we can answer them all, just like the last series of golf questions.
Director Collins?
All of our wastewater, it goes into the sewers, and that company that manages that, they reclaim a lot of it, and a lot of it is going to the nuclear power plant. So it is being done. We just don't have it, and we would have to put piping all through Sun City in order for us to do it and get permission from them, and they would charge us for it, for the water, even though it's reclaimed. It's not going to be free.
Well, we're a community of, 38,000 people, and we're always looking at ways to save and things to do. I would say, why not?
Well, that was
actually look into it.
That was checked on my first term on the board, and it just was not feasible for us at all. I mean, we did look into that before when we were dealing with the lake.
Okay. And my favorite topic, I'm glad to hear that there's a document now for the libraries, and that we're hoping that it finally gets signed by both parties, and that's all we've heard. So my only question there is, do we still have 2 libraries when it's done?
Well, let's go back to the beginning when I said to you that I signed the lease for the libraries. And what we're waiting for now is for the Maricopa County to countersign the lease document. You have 2 libraries, and you have them for 5 years.
Okay.
I've already said that.
It helps to be more explicit by saying 2 libraries, because there was talk about shutting down 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Sue Bleckel.
Sue, can you just a little more? Thank you.
Sue Bleckel, 137471. I am the president of the Friends of the Sun City Libraries, and I am here to thank the RCSC board, the RCSC management, the Maricopa County Library District, and all of you who helped make our libraries sustainable for 5 more years. The lease has been agreed upon. It is not fully signed, but it is agreed upon. And this is a great day. This is a great time for our libraries, and I appreciate it. Our library volunteers appreciate it, patrons, and the general public. Thank you for taking the time to do a good job and look over the leases, make changes. They had not been reviewed in 15 years. And so we're looking forward to 5 years of more good partnership between the Friends of the Library, the RCSC, and the Maricopa County Library District. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Diane Modell, 145165. I want to first start saying that I love Sun City. I love living here. I love everything that we have here. And I heard a lot from the dog club about how they got indoor facilities this summer, and I'm really happy for them. But I lawn bowl, and I don't have an indoor facility, and there's golfers that would like to have something, and there's basketball players that would like to have something, and those are all humans. I'm sorry, we endure our summers here. We don't do a lot of things in the summer because of it. And the dogs get an indoor facility, And I couldn't lawn bowl this summer because it's too dang hot. I'm not getting up at 7 a.m. and it closes too early at night because it's still too hot. So just saying, we all like it, but I don't know if dogs take priority over the humans here.
Every one of those dogs comes with a member. Excuse me. I'm going to repeat that. Every one of these dogs comes with a member, and maybe more than one dog. People can put on shoes, they can put on golf equipment, they can tolerate the sun, some more than others. Dogs can't. They can't tolerate that on their feet, sometimes even when they wear boots. This is a very large club and probably worthy of consideration for an indoor space. Yes, ma'am.
Claudia Wilson, number 145604. I heard what you said about the 14-day limit on guest passes not being decided yet, and that's good news. I have a schedule conflict, so I probably won't be able to attend that meeting where it's going to be discussed, and so I want to say what I have to say today. I want to talk about what the guest policy means for clubs. I belong to the Mahjong Club. We play in tables of 4. We have a contingent of regular guests who have played with us for years. They're valuable participants. If those regular guests are limited to only 14 visits per year, on the other 38 weeks, our tables will be short 1 or more players, and we have to scramble to find substitutes. This will be especially problematic during summer months when our attendance is naturally lower. But we have options. Instead of playing with the club, we can play in our homes, where the regular guest at our table is welcome every week. And when it's time to renew our club membership, why would we? If a large number of club members choose this solution, the club's membership numbers may not be sufficient to meet RCSC's requirements to remain chartered. Case in point, the first week after the guest policy change was announced to our club, our attendance was down 20%. I understand that some clubs, such as the sports clubs, may prefer not to allow guests. That's fine. Perhaps RCSC could give each club the power to decide whether or not they'll accept guests. I feel like this is another policy. I mean, we were told that it's already in place, and our club is operating that way. But it just seems like this is another policy change that was not thought through and did not get input by the people it would affect before it was implemented. That's ass backwards.
So there was no new policy about a 14-day limit. As I said, that has been a board policy since before any of us were on this board. It may have been only very selectively enforced. Okay, so maybe the news that you got was all of a sudden people were going to start paying attention. But as I said, we have looked at this and asked ourselves, is this a net gain or a net loss? What do we gain by limiting people? What do we lose by limiting people? A similar situation with, if you've got an orchestra or something and you've got a certain number of people that are coming from outside of Sun City to fill in seats that aren't filled by Sun City members, it's a tremendous gain to everybody to allow them to come. So as a board, we looked at this and asked ourselves, does it even make sense that this policy, which has been in effect for
20 years,
over a decade, do we really want to keep that?
What policy number is that? Because I've read those policies. I'm a past president. I've read those policies, and I'm familiar with them, BP 9 and BP 12, and I haven't seen any of that language in either one of those.
Claudia, just so you know, we do have clubs that have low attendance, and we don't want any club to disappear. We can make arrangements for you. If your club is in danger of disappearing, let the COC know. We'll work with you and figure out a way to make it work. We don't want you to just evaporate into thin air.
Well, obviously, we don't want that either, but unless we get some clarification on what you expect from us and we can adjust our behavior accordingly, our club is going to disappear.
And we don't want that to happen, so please keep that in mind. We will work with you.
Okay? We'll hold you to it.
Okay.
Good.
And with regard to these policy changes, the meeting is on September 16th to start looking at these. There'll be some time between now and then for members to comment. What time is that, 9 a.m.? 9 a.m. Yes, ma'am.
Jana Mapes, 155586. I just got a few comments here about what I've been hearing so far. As for the carts and doing a drop-off, you forget how many single people you have living here. How are they going to drop themselves off? Come on. And crossing that street, you can try all you want, but somebody's going to get hit. I'm sorry, I've known it, I've seen it. You don't want to go there. It's not a pretty picture. Something to think about. Punch cards. They're supposed to be good. Except somebody came to me going, oh, well, I tried to use it, and they flat out refused me to use it. She had to get on her phone, get online, and get a pass because the person working behind the desk refused to take the card. So you might want to let all your people know they are supposed to be taking these punch cards yet. I don't think that was right for her to have that happen to her. And besides, if you do it online, it's going to cost RCSC more money because any charges under $10, you're not making any money on it. Being a president of a club, I know that we won't take anything for less than $10 or it costs us money. So that might be something to consider if you want to go cashless on that. And the clubs that now you have to have your RCSC card. They have to show it to you to get into the center. They aren't allowing anybody else in that doesn't have one, only them and guests with them. What happens to those clubs at those facilities when they don't have walk-in customers? That's our livelihood for our club, to show it off to people that are thinking about moving here. How are they supposed to get in to those places? There's a time and a place for everything, and there's too much every once in a while. Might want to think about that one. And then also the golf courses. Okay, everybody's crying about, they need money. Okay, so why did I just hear about it the other day that you can go online and buy passes to play golf on our courses cheaper than coming to the course and buying around? And it's a known fact by other golfers. So you might want to find out what's going on there because you're losing money there too before you start adding more assessment fees to everybody who lives here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you, board members. Thank you, management team. Joanne Greeny, 106561. And I would like to talk about this change for not being able to use cash here in Sun City, Arizona. I would like to be able to pay cash when I go bowling, when I play golf, even for the concerts, I would like to pay cash. And I really think that the people that pay cash should get a 5% discount. I go to restaurants, and I am accumulating a larger list of restaurants and other stores, vendors that do give a discount for people that pay cash. And I just think it's right. It's American. And, case in point, I went to, I had a copay for a doctor a week ago, $5 copay. And I had 4 $1 bills, I had a $10 bill and a 20. So they couldn't give change out, and that's fine, no problem, credit card. But my receipt to get that $5 copay is now $5.20. So yes, $20 is not going to break me, but if we're talking about everything else that we do throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the year, we're talking a lot of money that's just going to American Express or Visa or RCSC. Secondly, bowling. Sorry, Mike. On Sundays, I sure would like to see the bowling alleys open at 10 a.m. During the summer hours, it's been busy enough that I really don't have, I find that the lanes are more open starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, you're busy with families and guests and big bowlers that are practicing. If the bowling alleys would open at 10 a.m., both of them, not just one, then I might go early to beat the rush, or it might be more comfortable for some of the families to go earlier. And I will save my 43 seconds for somebody else, and thank you for this time.
Thank you. Treasurer Borski.
Claudia, there you are. Claudia, I just found it for you. It's BP 9 that you were talking about, the 14 days and the punch cards.
Section B.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tom Swenson, 135906. Firstly, I want to talk as Sun City Players president. My dad, as kids with my dad, we used to say, well, you know, we kids would fight about it. We decided what we're going to have for dinner. And my dad kept saying, you can talk until the cows come home. We're having spaghetti. And that seems to kind of summarize the entire Mountain View project. We had a committee that worked their buns off to come up with some suggestions for you, especially about sites. They were limited to 3, and they chose one of the 3. Well, I guess they gave you the option of 3 choices at 2 different sites. So there are so many reports on what a theater would mean at each other option going back 15 years. So we're reinventing the wheel and spending a lot of money. We had a theater designed for us. They came out at an estimated $12.5 million that satisfied us, the community, everyone, except a board that wanted to be fiscally responsible. Now, I'd like to know what your estimates are going to come out on the building now, because they're going to be 18 or something. That building that was designed for us was impeccably wonderful. There was not one step in the entire theater so that the patrons could get in and out safely and easily, among other things. So I know that's water over the dam. That's $400,000 over the dam, but I guess, how long is this going to take? I really want an estimated timeline. If it's 2 to 3 years, I'd like a real firm guesstimate, is what I'm trying to say. Because you've been 2 or 3 years for us for 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Now, while I have a little more time, just 45 seconds, Mr. Collins, I agree with you. There's no reason to say these people are putting money in their pockets or all this craziness I see on the chat sites. I really, really disagree with you folks on a whole lot of things. But 90%, your heart's the right place. And I just want to say that.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask if you would, for the next meeting, have the amount of insurance increase that the carts would be and divide it by 38,000 and tell us how much each person would have to pay extra to have carts at that event.
Time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sarah Talbot, 153035. First of all, I want to thank you, wonderful board, for doing what you do. I think you're nuts, but I admire you for stepping up to the plate and running this place. I am a member of 4 of the many bridge clubs in Sun City, and a lot of them are represented. This whole front row are bridge players, and I see more back there. We can understand why you want to have a 14 attendance limit for guests for the sports events, but it will kill many of the clubs, Bridge being one of them. Just last week, 1/3 of the people playing bridge were guests. We are hungry for guests. And our guests don't use any more of your electricity or any more of your space. We need guests in order to function. So I am glad that you're readdressing that situation, because the punch cards worked beautifully for the guests. I asked the members of our club to donate their old punch cards to help us get through the summer until we got to this meeting. I didn't even know they used to be yellow. They dug in the back of their junk drawers and brought out all kinds of punch cards. Since I've been using those punch cards, it's $175 that Sun City did not get just for the last couple of months. So I want you to please reconsider that situation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello. Ruth Mackay, 159538. This is more for information. I have a couple of friends, and every week on a Sunday, I get an email from the RCSC showing me what's happening through that week. And two of my friends are not getting that email, and I know for a fact that one of them has tried going to your staff and requesting and putting her email on a list, and she still isn't getting it. So I wondered if you could give me instructions on how to tell friends of mine to be able to get their email on the list. I don't know who's responsible for that. And the other thing is that I know your websites are under construction, and the website a couple of websites that I accessed where it said that I could get the list of what was happening today. When I clicked on it, it said 401 page not available. And I tried it several times and at different times of the day and several days. So I just wanted you to be aware. Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'll just go.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Steve Fribley, 104463. As you see from these two chairs here, there's quite a difference in the thickness of the pads. Those of us who go up to Marinette or down to Mountain View for the movies, 1 hour and 3/4 to 2 hours sitting in those hard chairs is a booger. We carry a pad with us every time we go. I'm not suggesting you get new chairs. I'm suggesting that you change the pads on them. That's all it takes.
Thank you, Vanna.
As you can see, it only takes removing 4 screws to remove that pad, and you can take that out. I worked for an ambulance company many years ago, and I did some design work on that, where the seat for the one patient, for the driver, or ex-driver, was very different than the pad where somebody lay down on it. Foam density is the answer to that. And for that, I can get very expert opinion on what thickness and what pad density. Look around here and what's our average weight? Anywhere from 125 to 175 pounds, catch most of us.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh, isn't Well, let's say 150 pounds plus or minus 50 pounds. And we always carry cushions with us when we go to that. But I'd like to see it make 10 profile, 10 prototypes for each of the rec centers there to test out and get the reactions for that, get good pricing on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I bet there are quite a few people here in the audience who go to those movies and would like to see those chairs have a decent cushion on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
That's their job.
My name is Steve, 160597. Get ready to stop the time, please. Matthew, $84,000 for a desk. That's what the paper said. Evidently, that goes towards the lights also. Can you please tell me how much the lights were, and were they necessary or were they a need? Stop that.
Maybe I can answer that question just a little bit. It's a renovation project. We could not keep the lights clean or even reach the lights, and the lights were a safety risk because they're about, I'm sorry, Matthew, how far off the ground are they?
3 stories.
3 stories? It's an entire renovation project. I mentioned it at this beginning when I went through the topics items.
Was it cost efficient to replace them or hire a company to clean them? Were they falling out of the ceiling where they were in danger of crushing somebody?
Well, sir, these are operational conditions for which we pay the general manager.
The answer is either yes or no.
I don't know. That's my answer.
It was more cost efficient.
My answer is I don't know, which is why I'm going to refer to the general manager.
I reverted to the man that lied to me last meeting. $84,000 for a desk. You told me it'd be minimal costs, but now the lights are factored in. So you lied to me. How much is the desk? How much was the lights? Was it necessary or was it a want?
Madam President.
Well, Mr. Director Collins.
Please, a point of order here.
Why did the speaker's mind?
No, I was lied to directly by him in front of Mike.
Sir, you have a right to speak for 3 minutes. Okay?
Oh, he's good. What are you doing?
That's what I'm doing. It's called freedom of speech.
That's right. You can continue speaking until your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
Okay? Are you done?
I'm asking for an answer.
Well, sir.
This is a question-answer board. Yes, no?
Yes, no, what, sir? I have already told you
I asked a question.
today.
You give me an answer. Yes, no?
I'm going to give you an answer. Here's the answer.
Wait for him to answer.
It's a complete renovation of the entryway to Fairway.
My question was not directed towards you, ma'am. My question was directed towards this gentleman here.
Okay, but I'm answering you.
Madam President. Steve.
Yes, sir.
We do not allow attacking people, and the way you're talking.
I'm not attacking anybody.
The way
I'm
you're
calling out the
talking.
lie that was told to me.
Is very confrontational.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be courteous to one another.
Okay, I was.
Okay?
I'm asking a question that I was lied to about.
I understand that you're of the knowledge and belief that we're spending $89,000 for a desk.
$84,000.
$84,000 for a desk, because that's what the project was called. I asked for that project to be renamed because it has far more components than a desk. The general manager spoke earlier about some of the renovation items that consist into this $84,000. Okay?
To the lights.
You're not asking a question, sir. You're actually making a demand. The bottom line is this is an $84,000 construction project, of which a desk is a portion.
In your paper, it specifically says desk.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I asked for the name of the project to be changed. It is far more than a desk.
What else? $84,000.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. General Manager, is that the type of information we can make available, what the itemized items are on this construction contract?
We can. Do you want to do it right now?
Yeah. I hear some no's, so I tell you what, if you would get with this gentleman or give us the information, we will get that information out to the membership.
So let me just help you understand, perhaps. The way things work here is that we have projects, and we have project managers, and we have a facilities group that goes out and looks at the project, looks at all the things that need to be done. And then they put together a package. If it's going to be a capital project over a certain amount of money, we put together one of these orange folders. okay? And it lists out all the things that go into that project. Now, sometimes there's some shorthand used in some of the descriptions, but the actual description of this is relocate check-in desk, welcome desk area in front lobby entrance. So it's more than just a desk. It's relocating one. And there's multiple elements and multiple bids involved in that. Then this package then goes to the bid commission. It's reviewed and signed off by them, and then it goes back to Mr. Whiproot over here to construct. So there's no hidden agenda. There's not an $84,000 desk, and I addressed this at the beginning of the meeting. So I'm sorry that you feel like you were lied to. There was no intent to lie to you. So I'm happy to share, or we can talk to Mike, and we can go over, if it's important to you, exactly what the elements of that $84,000 are.
Well, I had to apologize for this, but and shouldn't have to. We should all know where our money's going. There should be a detailed report. There should be a vote, something that we should be able to look into. Why? No. You replaced lights. Were they necessary? Was it a need or was it a want? I grew up needs and wants. You get what you need. You hope for what you want.
I understand your point of view. I just explained the process. If you don't like the process, well, then we can address the process. But we do a lot of projects around here. There's a lot of things that don't get voted on, like whether or not we're going to change out lights in one area or another. But that's the reason you have a board, and that's the reason you have managers, and that's the reason you have people doing the work.
But you have nobody here justifying why they're spending it. Transparency. That's all I've heard of last meeting, transparency.
We do justify why we're spending it.
You know what? That's done over. It's already, I got the answer.
It's justified in the bid packet.
Answer. Well, but you want to talk about digital now. You want to go digital? What happens when the internet shuts down? Then what do? What happens when, like, Microsoft had their upgrade for the banks? You couldn't get to the bank and get your money. Now what do you do when people want to pay for something here? Can anybody answer what your backup plan for that is? Can we pay cash?
Thank you, sir. I believe your 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
No, I don't think it is. Yeah, she started it when I asked my question, and she stops it for the answer. She's being polite. I thank you very much for that.
Well, I tell you what, sir.
You stop it?
Have another 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I don't need, I just asked the question. What's your backup plan for when the digital system fails?
Treasurer, do you have a comment?
Yes. Steve, I have a comment for you. We told you that cashless was not happening right now. We haven't worked out everything yet. That is why we're not doing it right now. This takes a process. I have worked converting things to cashless. It takes a lot of thought. What happens when the internet goes down? I guess it went down. We're going to have to come up with a policy. What do we do next? We're not there yet. We're working on these processes. Just because somebody said we're going cashless doesn't mean tomorrow morning we're not going to take your money.
Understandable. That's what I'm asking.
We may be 6 months, 8 months, a year, who knows how long.
Then at least we have an answer now.
Okay.
Okay, punch cards. What's the problem with using punch cards? When the system goes down and you can't access the internet to do what you got to do, now what? 14 days? I mean, how come paper doesn't work anymore?
Steve, we just told you we're reviewing that whole policy paper.
When that happens, are you going to let people know, or are you just going to do it?
Absolutely. There'll be next week.
We just got done talking about the fact that we're having a special session on the 16th to address this very issue.
Okay, maybe I'm stupid. I didn't catch everything because I like transparency. I want to know the details of it. I understand you're a nonprofit organization. You don't have to give details, but it's our money you're playing with. It's our livelihood. I'm going to be here for 30 more years. Do you think I want to sit and deal with this all the time?
Guys on the board are your neighbors and friends. They're human beings too. Be compassionate.
Yo, let him talk.
I am. It's called freedom of speech. I'm sorry. I apologize for the Constitution.
Steve, we have a special meeting set up. You will see the changes in the policy papers.
Okay, will it be on via internet, via newspaper?
It'll be on a piece of paper. It will also be on the internet, but you will see a piece of paper.
Sent home to you?
No, here, when you come to the meeting.
This is my point. What about those who can't attend?
$40,000. Come back.
Get on the board.
If I was old enough, I would, smart mouth. Now, you're hammering down on me, but him, hey, he can free speech, right?
Excuse me. We will have order. Ladies and gentlemen, please. We are human beings. Yeah, sir, thank you. Right now, the policies are being put on the back table. Please don't rush the table all at once. We waited till the end to put them down because we didn't want people reading them during the meeting. The new policies, the drafted policies that were going to be discussed on the 16th will be there in hard copy. As I said earlier today, if there are insufficient copies this afternoon, that information will be available electronically.
Either way, you claim transparency. We haven't seen it yet.
Excuse me, I will make one more comment. We hold these exchanges. These exchanges were not always held. We hold these exchanges. We hold these exchanges so you can ask questions and we can provide answers and you can be informed. We opened the finances to the membership. 3 years ago, if you asked for a financial document from the board, you would not have received it. The last board and this board have opened those financial records to the membership. You know, it's a constant lack of transparency, and yet we're always here. We're always answering questions. We haven't denied any members. We try to provide information as early in the process as possible, like the upcoming bylaws and policies. We're making them available to you in hard copy. They'll be available to you online. You'll have an opportunity to talk about it. We don't operate in a vacuum. I'm sorry. We do the very best we can to keep our membership informed. Please.
Hello. If I have to be civil, I guess I'm done. So, but I'll try. My name is Jack Farrell, rec card sub 5842. I've lived in Sun City for 33 years. Currently, I'm president of 2 afternoon contract bridge clubs and very involved with a third. I want to address the new guest policy as defined in the update newsletter. This is a newsletter. It's not a policy document, it's a newsletter. You don't go and change policies because you want to change them in a newsletter. For years, we had Sunviews. Sunviews always acted as a newsletter. Because you changed the name doesn't give you the authority to make policies. Let me address the specific policies that you're doing. Board Policy 9, subsection G, a guest pass or host punch card is required for guest entry, not according to the May update. I can't use the host postcard anymore. I don't even know how to use one anymore according to what your rules are. Board Policy 9, subsection E, daily guest fees are paid with a host punch card, which is punched once for each guest. I defy you to tell me how update allows me to even use a punch card. You say we can, but I can't figure out how to do it. Working with your update. Board Policy 9, subsection F, cardholders may purchase host punch cards at RCS facilities, check-in stations, or at the cardholder services host punch card. Not true. I can't get one there. If I walk in there, they won't sell me a host punch card. Is that correct? That's correct? You're going to deny that? Correct. Never mind. And then it goes on to say, host punch cards do not expire until all blocks are punched. The update newsletter says they end January 1st. We can't use them anyway, so I don't know what the problem is. But they say they end January 1st. Board Policy 9 says they don't end. Board Policy 12, attendance by all club guests must be recorded on guest attendance register unless a host punch card is accepted and punched by the club, that's my club or my clubs, for the club guests. That is how we have worked for the last 15 years. We escort our guests, our members, not an RCSC member, our members escort the guests to our facility, to our game. We do that because We don't want people playing our game that don't know how to play, and we get that. But we get people who want to think they're playing pinochle. We get people that want us to train them how to play bridge. We get people that played bridge 20 years ago. So we vet them. That's why our members bring them. We don't let just any member bring a potential guest in our club.
Sorry.
Time is up, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't have my bells, so I apologize. So there's
Okay.
no ding-ding.
I got my point across, I hope.
You did.
Yes, sir, thank you. Yes, sir.
Bill Pearson, 133438. I knew I wore this hat for a reason. It says, in order to insult me, I first must value your opinion. Nice try, though. Not you guys. I may buy each of you one of those. All right, so let's talk about Fairway. When it was built and opened, the first piece of it in 2007 or so, and then the second piece around 2009 or 10. Within the first couple of weeks of the second piece, or first couple of months of the second piece being open, we came to realize that we put the desk in the wrong spot. Let me say that again. We put the desk in the wrong spot because we put it over to the side, and we realized that when everybody else came in and went to the right instead of the left to the fitness area, no one was being carded when they walked in the door. Now, here was the good news. In 2010, it was a much more sane time. Matthew said times have changed. They have. Security is an issue. Safety is an issue. It isn't the end-all, be-all, but it's pretty darned important. And so the decision to move the desk back actually should have been done years and years and years ago when we realized there was a mistake when they put it in the wrong place. But we never wanted to spend any money because our goal was not to spend money, keep the costs down, and keep everybody happy. It could have been done for much less 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and we realized the mistake, it wasn't. So with all due respect to everybody complaining about an $84,000 desk, it's a project that should have been done right the first time, and it wasn't. It needs to be done because it just makes sense. Secondly, the punch cards, all of the things that go along with it, I will tell you, I was on the board. We did have a policy that said that you can't, and it was probably in rules and regulations without looking, said 14 visits. The former GM insisted that it be there because we didn't want...
Excuse me, does anyone have an aspirin? Does anyone have an aspirin?
I have an ibuprofen. No. Aspirin. I don't have an aspirin.
Does anyone in the audience have an aspirin? Carol has one. We have an aspirin.
I want my 14 seconds back.
Yes, sir, you
I'm
shall
kidding.
have them.
My only point is this. There are policies, there are rules and regulations. All of those are how we are supposed to function as an organization. If you truly care or are concerned about how things work, go to the meeting next Monday morning at 9 a.m. and voice your opinion once you've seen what the details of the changes are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Kimberly Black, 136472. Punch cards. I have 2 punch cards I bought last year. If they're no longer being accepted, I would like to get a refund for the unused punches, please. Also, I would like to put in my 2 cents that I would prefer that the punch card policy stuck around. And I don't mind going to a central location like Cardholder Services to pay for it. I don't mind paying for the punch card with the credit card. What I do like about the punch card is the flexibility to be able to use it. Secondly, I don't play golf, but I walk. I would love the ability to walk on the golf course after play. I have no idea when play ends. I'm going to suggest that maybe you raise a green flag after play is completed so a couple people can walk on the golf course and enjoy that. And third thing is, I notice a lot of people here would benefit from being seated, lined up for the podium. I'm going to suggest that in the future, 1 or 2 podiums have a line of chairs for people to sit in while they're waiting to speak. And that's it. Thank you.
The front row is.
That's what the front row is for.
I had no idea. That should be communicated. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Kim Klein, 149886. I want to thank you guys. What I want to think is transparency, but I find that it might be a little streaky at times, the transparency. My head is swimming, as I'm sure everybody here's head is swimming. I do want to address a couple of things. You're talking about implementing safety, security. You're having all these new tasks that you're wanting to implement. That's great, but I think we all as a community would like to see the numbers. And there hasn't been incidences with money pickup. We haven't had any. And now you're talking about hiring security. One thing I keep hearing too is RCSC going to pay for it, or are the clubs going to pay for it? Well, guess what? RCSC is us. We're paying for whatever you guys do. That's the way it is. Not you as a volunteer, of course. But I think it is important for us as residents to remember that we are the ones that are paying. So I do have a problem with the whole security thing. The other thing with to get back to the golf carts, and I haven't heard this, one of the things is we have 3 exit doors in the auditorium. At the 3 exit doors, if people are having to pick up and you're saying there's a designated area, that's not gonna fly. People are gonna be dropping off and picking up. People are gonna get mad. Now, I don't have statistics for this either, but I mean, I guess if you're going with safety, I'm going with safety. They'll be driving around, it'll be erratic. You're gonna have 2 people being driven by 2 handicaps. You have a driver that's handicapped, another designated spot. So I think, and then when you talk about events, the event is being held in an RCSC facility, right? So if it's an RCSC facility, then RCSC is responsible. They're deciding we need security. Why are you not deciding we need golf carts? I mean, I think there's a problem there. And like I said, with this whole security going to all these events, we have no numbers. I think that's a big problem. I don't care what the banks are saying. I don't care what investors are saying. That's not interesting enough for me as far as stats on crime for RCSC. That's what I want to see. Also, the gentleman who was up here, yes, I agree. He was attacking. But then when it was brought to attention that he was being rude, patronizing, somewhat rude, and rude over there, that was not called. That was not called out. So I'm a little confused about that because it's my impression, whether I agree with someone or not, if you're going to call them on being rude or hostile, please follow what you say. That's transparency. That's it.
Thank you. Yes.
Carol Harrington, 113970. I want to talk about the punch passes and the 14-day thing. Kidding. Just kidding. This is going to seem weird. I'll ask it in a question form, and then that'll help me direct my comments. If I'm on an RCSC golf course in a sand trap and I fall and I'm severely injured because of the fall, because of the sand trap, who pays for that? I mean, is RCSC liable? Or do I sign away my rights when I sign in and say I realize that something could happen? I'm curious. Does anybody want to address that? It'd be the same with going to a pool or any of those things.
Do you have any other questions?
No, it's all about that.
So we're in a time when anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Right.
So I can't answer your question. What I can say is it doesn't matter, because if you decide that it was our fault that you fell in a sand trap and you were injured, you can go get a lawyer. And that's going to cost us, i.e. you,
right,
money
okay.
to defend that case.
You can stop there then.
Yep.
So my concern is we have sand traps on certain courses that are very senior friendly. You can get in and out of them easily. It's not a problem. And then we have sand traps like at North that are, you feel like you're at St. Andrew. I mean, it's so deep, and there's no safe way to get out because it, you know, and even at Riverview, yeah, it's a problem. I would like someone to look into that. The last time I brought it up, I was told that we had done that to add character to the golf course and to attract people who didn't want to come and play just an easy course. We're trying to attract outside players. Well, I just don't think those reasons cut it when the majority of us are seniors. And I know the answer is don't hit it in the sand trap. I know that's the answer. But anyway, Brian, you can talk to me about it later or whatever you want to do. But okay, thank you very much. Thanks for what you do. Sorry people get a little agitated, but it's their life and they care about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Jean Totten, 148753. Regarding the special session, I appreciate that you answered me in my email. However, I'm not sure that I had more questions after, and in our internet back and forth wasn't working. Regardless, right now, the present day bylaws state that special sessions can be called by the president, written request of 3 board members, purpose of the meeting. It does not say that members can speak at a special session. So I guess comes right down to, are members going to be able to address topics at that special meeting?
Members will be able to address the topics that are portion of the special meeting. The special meeting is specifically for bylaws and policies.
Right.
The difference between a special session where members can speak is a planning session where they cannot speak. Generally, planning sessions are for when we want to inform the members of something specific.
Yes.
Special sessions are special, and we expect members to come and we expect them to participate.
Okay, well, and I see that that is going to be addressed in the bylaw change.
Yes.
So, but I just wanted to be sure we could speak on the 16th. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Yep. Richard Atwood, 106547. When they were talking about security at the rec centers as far as having money, it kind of brought up something here, because I kind of worry about that too, especially where you got a lot of the crazy homeless people running around here. But as a prime example, you'd think Safeway on Bell would be a nice, safe place, right? You wouldn't see anybody walk in there and steal anything, you know, especially money. Well, I know for a fact, I know a young lady who worked there at the Starbucks, and a homeless guy come in, grabbed her tip jar full of money, and started walking out the door, and she tried to chase him down, and she got in trouble for that. But the guy stole her money and walked out the door, and the guy was never caught. But the guy just walked in and robbed her, you know? And so she quit because the store wouldn't back her up. So I do worry about some of the rec centers with these people running around, and if they know you have money in there, you know, they're going to go in and they're going to rob somebody and hurt them, or who knows. And if they think they have money and they don't, then they might hurt them. So I don't think, you know, I think it's a bad idea for them to be in little cash cows or whatever, you know, at rec centers. They should just have punch passes of some sort, or do something where you can, on the member, you can maybe scan the member's card and their membership, and if they want to bring somebody in, then you charge them, make everybody have an account, and then charge them, and then they have to pay later. And as far as the punch passes, 14 days, well, give them 14 days, and then after the 14 days, if they want more punch passes, then double the fee. You know, say, well, then, okay, we got some more, we'll just double the fee. So, how much time do I got? And with, I don't know, this is a golf course. I thought the water in the ponds actually were recirculated on the golf course for watering. No?
I'm sorry, ignore that.
Oh, okay.
Am I on?
Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
The water on the golf course is pumped from wells into the lakes, so it's fresh water from the ground. The lakes store the water until we pump it out onto the golf course, but it's not reclaimed water from a sewage facility like the lady was asking before.
Oh no, not kind of reclaimed, but I meant the water in the ponds, aren't they reused on the golf course for watering?
The water in the ponds comes from the ground. We pump it out of the ground into the lakes, and then we have a pump station that pumps it out of the lakes onto the golf course. So it's not reclaimed water. Well, the water doesn't go back into the ponds after we water, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, so you don't use...
It's a circular process.
Back to the aquifer after it's on the grass.
It either gets evaporated, used by the turf, or I suppose an extreme situation might make its way back into the aquifer, but that amount would be very minimal.
Well, I didn't mean into the aquifer. I just thought maybe the ponds, you had pumps on there, and it'd pump back into your water lines to water the grass.
No.
No? Oh, so it just, oh, all right. I got 30 seconds. Mosquitoes, I mean, the ponds, speaking of ponds, I mean, that's where the mosquitoes kind of breed, and a lot of the ponds, I mentioned before, don't have fountains on them. And I heard that Sun City West, what they do is they put mosquito fish in their ponds to try and keep the mosquitoes down. And I don't know if the golf course here has ever thought about mosquito fish in the ponds. And I actually wouldn't think that would be a fee for the golf courses, because the mosquitoes are biting more than the golfers. They're biting the other residents. So it should be an RCSC fund if they were going to do mosquito fish. But just an idea. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Todd, Missouri, 141167. I have a couple concerns about some financial things I've been made aware of. I'd like to remind everyone that Sun City is not a growing community. We have finite borders, and everything is taken up. We're not building new houses. Lots of new people aren't moving in. We're basically a buy, a die, and a rebuy community. So our general population doesn't change. So my question is, I've heard there's a bunch of hiring for new employee positions and new supervisor positions, and I'm just wondering why all of a sudden we need more supervisors when there were supervisors already in place. The other question I am concerned about is I know there's a new safety supervisor and a team of 4, 5, 6 other employees there. I come from an industry which is very safety oriented. I've did that all my life. And I understand safety is really important. I know in our clubs, we all are concerned about safety, and we address that in our rules and regs. But this new safety person is trying to get MSHA or MSHA standards into our clubs. My big question is, does this person really know what our clubs do? I don't know who this person is, but does she understand that we are hobby clubs? We're not businesses. We are not under and should not be under any government safety standards. So my question to you is, number one, what is that safety committee doing, and why does it require 5 or 6 people? And is this a need that we have regarding a huge expense for that many employees? salary and benefits. Is that an expense we really need in our community?
Did you want to respond to that? It's hard for me to know what you can respond to since we don't respond to personal or personnel issues in public forums. We clearly need increased safety and security. Did you want to respond at all, Mr. General Manager?
I'd just like to say that, we have recently started the Safety and Compliance Group, and they are doing important work because it goes back to, again, to our overall insurance costs. And one of the things that helps, not just on an insurance side, is showing that you are actively working on your various exposures, as well as your actual experience every time there's a claim or every time there's something like this. So again, it kind of goes back to the world's not the same as it used to be, and security issues are not something that we want to spend money on, but you'll notice that we have been, and we will continue to. We are looking at ways to make all of the centers safer and make all of the club areas safer, but it's not going to happen overnight. So I'm not sure you said the committee, there's a group of people that's a safety and compliance group, but there's also a safety committee or a safety council that is made up of members from across the RCSC, like in any organization that has a focus on safety. And if you go back to the June exchange and board meetings, you'll see that I talked extensively about why we need the safety and what we're doing and the programs we're rolling out. It's not just to keep the employees safe, but that's important too, but also to keep the members safe. So while you might disagree that the spending is needed, that's again why you have management that puts together a budget and puts together where we're going to spend the money, and you have a board that reviews it and votes on it. So I hope that helps you understand that there is a need for people focused on safety in any organization.
My question was not whether it was a necessary thing. My question was, is it a 5 or 6 person necessary thing? I work for a huge company that I'm not sure they would find the need to have that many people when you're delegating to people that you work with.
I can understand that you have probably a different opinion on the size of that group, but that's the size we have now, and it should be stable for some time. Again, it's a brand-new group.
I know, a brand-new group, that's how many people? That's my question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I was here before. Jack Farrell, 75842. I'll try to make this quick. What I'm wondering about is why a newsletter called Update is allowed to supersede board policies 9 and 12. To figure that out, you're in.
The update doesn't supersede anything.
Yes, it does. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It doesn't supersede anything. We're in the process of trying to revise our bylaws and policies.
Time out.
Yes.
It does supersede it because...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you,
It does supersede it. We cannot buy host guest passes. We can't buy them.
Okay.
We can't use them. That's superseding. You're using a newsletter to supersede your own documents. Your own documents are being hijacked by management, and you don't seem to care.
Well, please don't, sir, please don't say we don't care. We care a great deal about our members.
Well, then don't tell me that it's going to be done next Monday or the Monday after that. I want to know right today, how come I can't use board policy 12 like it's written? Why can't I go into some facility and buy host punch cards? Why can't I? Mrs. Kimball?
Do you want to address that?
I guess I think you have a very good point.
Thank you.
I think that we have gotten things a little bit backwards here. These policies are up for revision. They are part of what we expect we'll see some changes going forward, but I would agree with you that it was improper for information to go out saying that something was going to happen when the board policies hadn't yet been changed. So apologies.
I don't need an apology. What I need is satisfy board policy 9 and 12. Do it. Don't let management hijack your policies. Their policies are in effect right now. I cannot buy anything. No host card punches. I have to change the way I've been running our system for the last 15 years. And all because nobody wants to verify board policy 9 and 12. All you have to do is say, certify that that's what you're going to do. It's what it says. It says you can't change it unless you guys change it. They can't change it. You change it. You understand my problem?
I do. I think you have a very valid point.
Why don't you tell them to stop doing that?
We will have that discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Collins.
I see his point. It's in our policies. Everything should go back into effect until we change it, and then it has to go through 2 meetings to make it official. So he is right. We shouldn't have done it, and we should fix it and put it back until we either change it and then go through the proper procedure.
Yes, sir.
Tom Swenson, 135906. Is this not library 2.0 with management superseding what you're supposed to be doing? Yeah. That's a question. Now, the things I want to raise up is I'm not familiar with this punch card problem. I really wasn't. Someone told me to show up. They're in a performing arts group. Does this involve us? Because many of the bands and sometimes the theater will have someone from outside join us to be part of our cast or band. Now, is there a limit to 14 up with them? Do you have to keep rebuying? Have you considered the fact that large portions of our bands and orchestras, et cetera, have people from outside?
We are aware. Thank you.
Okay, I just didn't know that. They were supposed to be here to make that point, so I'm doing other people's business. Can I have the specs that you sent out to your architect? We'd like to know what that theater is going to look like and have or not have.
We don't have a way of knowing because we just begun the architect-engineer process. Am I missing something?
Elements.
Elements? Oh, you want a copy of the elements?
Sure.
They're online.
They're online.
Okay, that's all that was sent to them?
Okay.
Okay, good. It's getting easy. There are things that are happening willy-nilly with Sun City rec centers. As part of the theater group, one day we went to go into our shop. The gate was locked. The door was locked. I went to management at Mountain View. They said, we didn't know it was coming either. For 2.5 weeks, we waited for keys to get into that building. We had to go find somebody on staff who had a key. They had to walk all the way over the shop and let us in. That's not good business. Now, the same thing has happened in other regards. The building that was taken down, you tore down one of our storage buildings. I found out accidentally. Oh, by the way, you know? No, I didn't know. I was with one of the club's people. And there was no discussion about that, no alternatives for us for storage. You just tore down one of our buildings. So this seems to be a pattern that I'm not comfortable with. Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'd like to respond to that. Yeah. Those buildings were red tagged by the fire department. That was communicated to the clubs right from the word get-go. That letter was provided. So they had to go. And as for your shop, it is also non-code compliant. It's a fire hazard. We're trying to, you guys got electric cords going all over the place. We asked you to clean it up. I know a lot of work has taken place. It's not ready to go yet. We got to get the fire department back in there.
Well, you have to get the electrician back in that
right?
you're responsible
Well, we got to find the money to pay for it. I got the bid. So
I'm just saying
that thing has been left in a terrible condition.
My question
and
was
we're
about the
dealing with it.
locks.
Gentlemen, please.
I'm sorry, I'm frustrated because my question wasn't about the repairs to the shop at all. It was about the changing of locks without letting the staff there or me know until like it was a 10 p.m. Text message or email to them, not us. And why it took 3 weeks to get keys.
Thank you.
No answer to that?
Thank you.
I don't have the answer to that, but you can always call me personally. This is an operations deal. I'm at Mountain View site all day long. But operations team is, somebody should have been able to find you keys. That's my
May I speak again?
side.
Yes.
Okay.
Please give us your name again.
Oh, Claudia Wilson, 145604. I have a general comment that I think might make all of our lives easier, yours and mine and everyone's. In my professional life, I was a medical supervisor. I, at one time, had 40 people who I was responsible for in 3 states. As part of my job, it was not uncommon that I would have to write new policies or make adjustments to existing policies that they had been working with all along. It's human nature to be resistant to change. But I learned that the way to do this is to be transparent every step of the way from the very beginning, even the idea, if it was a new policy, even the vision that I had for this policy, to involve people on my staff who could give me input. I don't believe for a minute that my idea is the only good idea. And then keep them involved and bring others on board every step of the way, from the very beginning to the very end. And in my experience, this might seem tedious to you, but this was the way to institute new policies, which I knew were not going to be popular, but have people understand the reason behind it. I had to ensure that we were going to improve the safety of our patients and please administration, because they had their own policies that I had to abide by, and also satisfy government regulations. So this wasn't something I was just pulling out of the sky and think, oh, this is pretty, let's do this. But when you have people involved who it's going to affect directly, your chances of success skyrocket. So that's my suggestion. If you'd like any more details about my experience and how this worked for me, I'd be glad to advise you.
Thank you. And we'll give you the last word.
Okay. Thank you for the last word. I always like the last word. Kim Klein, 149886. I want to follow up on a couple of things. I would like to know the transparency of money being spent when it's not going out for bid and it's being just spent, even with the board not really having involvement. To me, when we have paid employees that decide to spend money without going to the board, without coming to the community, that is a problem. That's one issue. The other issue is how many new hires with new job descriptions have we had? And that should be without naming individuals, titles, what their job description is, what their pay is, what their benefit package is. Again, it goes back to us paying. When we say RCSC, we are RCSC. You are our employees. You are wonderful people who are volunteering, but we are paying your salaries. And so when we ask for information from you, it should be extremely transparent. And I think that the importance there is there's a lot of people in our community that have Social Security. That's all they have. And when you raise, for some of us raising $50, $75, it's not a big deal. But for some people, that's their grocery money. And so it is a big deal. So if we're hiring and we're getting trees cut and the board's not being informed, where's the balance of that? So I think that is very important because the board is supposed to, right? You're the boss. I mean, really, you're the boss. You're it. You represent us. And I think that is a huge task and a huge job. And to do it, even if some of us don't like making waves, obviously I'm not one of them, I think there's accountability. And where is that accountability financially? It should all be transparent. We should have all the numbers. Any number we want, we should be able to come in, and it should just be, it's a spreadsheet, right? We all have computers, we're saying, that's what we're saying. So where is our spreadsheet on what people are spending? So I don't really have a question. What I say is, when we raised from when I bought a house here in 2019, I paid $3,500. It is now $5,000. $475 RCSC. I come from Alaska. I can tell you right now that's a monthly for your facilities. But that isn't the point. The point is for some people who are on Social Security, that is their grocery money. And I think we need to be very cognizant of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I could just respond to that, I wanted to say I would invite you to come to a meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee. Those numbers are all put out there. We have every spring, every fall, we have a variance analysis where we look at what was budgeted and what actually has gone out. All of the projections for what could be happening next year go through a committee that's made up of members, and you are welcome to see that. There's no hiding of that information. Now,
one question is, what about money that's being spent without going through the board?
So we have an annual operations budget, so this does not include PIF, of $30 million. Do you want the 9 of us up here to be checking where every one of those $30 million goes?
$300,000, yes.
So the way that we work that is that we say to a general manager that you have a budget, you're not allowed to go into the red. But we pay management to actually make decisions based on a lot of information that they have. So I realize that you can say, well, we don't like it when this happens. What management is not allowed to do is to go over budget in any of the departments that they have. So within a department, as long as they stay within budget for the year, we ask them to make the best decisions that they can, and those do get reviewed. So I understand that you're upset about the trees, and I asked a question to somebody. I said, so do you think the trees shouldn't have been trimmed? Do you think it could have been done cheaper? Well, no, but it should have happened differently. So you might have a point about that. But I guess what I want to say to you is that as a Budget and Finance Committee, we review those numbers. We look at summary statements, but there are behind these summary statements, there are 45-page Excel charts with 50 lines per page. If you want to get into the weeds about that, it's something that certainly can happen. And if you would like to be part of that, then perhaps it would be a good idea to attend a Budget and Finance Committee meeting. The next one is on September 17th, the third Wednesday in September. There is really a remarkable availability of that kind of information. If you really care about that and you want to come and ask us about it, we would be happy to.
How would you know if they're going and not getting it through something that we've authorized, and they're going and just getting whoever they want, and it doesn't go to bid? That's my question. How can that happen?
Well, how can it happen? It can happen, but we have safeguards, and we're aware of when it happens, and we have protocols internally to resolve those issues. And if you could let us resolve our issues, we're going to do our best to do so, okay? Did you want to add something? Yes.
Since it came up about some of our people are struggling in this community, I think the number is $22,500. If that is your income or less, please contact Marcia down in corporate, and maybe we can help with your rec fees. So if anybody, you know someone out there struggling, please tell them to come down. You got to, if you didn't pay your rec fees, you have to do it within 60 days of them being delinquent. But please, send them down and maybe we can help. Thank you.
Yes, we have a Sun City Foundation that works with members who need some help paying their assessment.
President Fimmel.
Yes, Director Foster.
Not to belabor this, I know everyone is, we're between you and happy hour, I'm sure. So, and my invitation to happy hour must have got lost in the mail. So let's not let that happen again. Two facts, though, that I just want to throw out here. One, yes, there were some new hires. Two, overall salaries and benefits did not increase. Why? Because there were so many empty positions that adding these new additional people did not increase or go over any budget. So it didn't affect any of your costs. No more money was being spent on salaries and wages and benefits than what was already budgeted. So yes, there were some new positions, but because there were so many unfilled positions, there was room in the budget to add those people. So I hope that's...
Thank you. All right. The annual member meeting is on March 11, 2025, here at 6 p.m. The next board meeting will also be here on September 26th at 9 a.m. And the next exchange meeting will be here on October 14th at 1 p.m. There being no further business and without objection, this meeting is adjourned. Please remember to turn your electronic devices back on.
Doug? Doug? Who do you want?
This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.